Hello. Welcome along to videocast number 43. And this, as I think I advertised in advance a little bit, is an ABBA special. I've got my really good friend Ian to basically give us the pleasure of his expertise and his expert analysis of the ABBA album Voyage. Now, I've spoken to Ian before, as you may know, so followers of these adventures will know that Ian agreed to chat with me when we first heard the first couple of singles, and there was the initial excitement about an album and a whole load of gigs being announced. Now, this time Ian's gone a whole big step further, and so we're able to see Ian in person thanks to Zoom and, you know, the incredible technology of the internet. So it is with great pleasure that I'm going to hand over to me in a moment or two for a long chat where we do, I have to say, we veer off into other things occasionally. We try and stay on track, and we're going to give you a really good look at the ABBA album Voyage, which is, let me just say this right now, it is the #1 album in the UK. It's also #1, as Ian, I think, points out, in many other countries in the world. It has sold over 200,000 units, copies, albums in its first week, which makes it the best opening week for any album in the last 4 years in this country. That's why it is worth our while spending a bit of adventure time with ABBA Voyage. I'm going to hand you over. And I'll catch you later. Bye-bye. Ian, I was very, very good today, and I did listen to the whole Voyage album.
Okay.
And I had to do it today because I had tried...
Have you started, by the way?
Yeah, well, look, I'm just recording. We'll see how we go. And I had to listen to it all again because the first time I listened to it, I fell asleep. And I wondered whether that was my fault or their fault, basically. I don't know. Ian, I tried it early. I mean, I'm talking about, I tried listening, you know, a few days ago, and I did drop off.
That was my AirPods, not earrings, by the way.
Yeah, I love your earrings. They're quite big, though.
I realised it wasn't coming through there anymore, so I took them out.
There's no point, really, is there? All you're doing is blocking the sound. So listen.
All right, so you found it boring? Or
I mean, no, I found it a bit one note, I think, is what I found it. I found it a bit samey, if I'm being really honest. And I don't dislike it. I like the sound of ABBA, but I didn't feel like there was as much variation as I might expect in an ABBA album. I don't know whether that's unfair. You tell me. You're the nominated expert.
Today's nominated expert. Right. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I'm just a fan, and
I know that.
I'm nothing special. I don't think it's to be. I mean, you know, when it first came out, I was like, oh, I've got my critical head on, and what's it going to be like? And when I took that off and just started to relax, I really enjoy it. I think it's very
What is your critical head? I'm quite interested in this critical head you have, because I don't think I've got one.
You know, like everyone's a critic, aren't they? So you're thinking of like what's good and bad about it, and you know, you think when you're listening to it, you're not just listening to it, enjoying it.
You're being analytical.
Analytical head, yes, critical.
Okay.
I mean, before I heard it, I saw the Guardian, you know, review, which gave it 2 stars, which was quite a mean-spirited review, I think. There were some other ones which were a bit damning, and not quite as damning as that one. And then some other ones much more positive. So, you know, I was like, you know, is that true? Are they, what they saying true about that? And then when I just like put that aside and just listen to it, I really enjoy it. I mean, it's like it just could have been, well, just looking up on Wikipedia, there's only a year's between Super Trooper and The Visitors. And this could have come out the year later. Although one thing that strikes me, it sort of to me, it feels like it falls between those two in a way. Because like Visitors was their most mature, even though it had a few silly things on, like they always do. This sort of for me, it feels in between. And it is a usual mishmash of things, really. There's some I think the sound is quite variable. There's obviously upbeat. I mean, they always say they find it harder to write the upbeat ones.
I for no particular reason, except I'm interested in the track. The other day, I just tuned into a YouTube video, and it was a clip of an interview with Bjorn. Yes, Bjorn. I'm just trying to make sure I've got my men the right way around. And he was talking about.
Can you not know that?
And he was talking about the day before you came, and talking about the writing of that song in particular, and about how difficult they found writing lyrics was. And he said we hated writing lyrics, and then eventually, between us, we sort of found a way, and particularly with a song like that, which is so lyrical and interesting, and then he. Now, who is it? Which of the girls is singing The Day Before You Came? I'm sorry. Right now, because
the blonde one.
Because the instruction to her was to not sing it too well.
Yeah, I think I did see a bit of that.
Because she's an ordinary girl, and I was really interested in the fact that they were that prepared to kind of get into character, and I wondered if some of that still carries through all this time.
Yeah, definitely. Little thing first on what's come interesting out of the current, resurgence.
Yeah,
it seems to be that Benny really likes the predominant melody. I always knew Bjorn wrote the lyrics or mainly wrote the lyrics, but I thought they shared the melody more. But it seems like Benny writes the lyrics, or at least initiates the melody, a lot of it.
Bjorn's writing most of the lyrics.
Yeah, to a melody that's already written, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and then going back to the other bit, what's really interesting, there was a really good interview with Frida on Zoe Breakfast show this week, which I think got everyone excited. I think Zoe was really excited, but because she repeated it the next day, and it was really good.
She's excited about everything, isn't she?
She answered. Pardon?
Zoe's excited about everything.
Well, well, that's her stick, isn't it? She is stick. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
anyway,
she's a little bit upbeat, isn't she?
She's upbeat. That's her thing. Which, if you accept that, I really like her. Anyway, and she said ABBA were her first love, which I didn't realize before. Anyway, so Frida was on, which was really exciting. And Frida is a lovely person, and she gave really nice answers. And what she said was that Agneta is the better storyteller, she feels, and just thinks so. Songs that are definitely story based, she sings. Because on this album, there are two very story based. I think there's one about a relationship where it seems to be Agneta's a recovering alcoholic, and sings "Screw You" at one stage, which was quite surprising. And then another one, which is about a broken relationship where there's shared custody over a little boy and things, and she sings those, and they both follow each other. So, I mean, I think some of Frida's, leads have stories as well. But that was really interesting. That she was very kind and generous about Agneta's voice and about their voices together. It was really, really great. A really nice. I think everyone who likes ABBA would have been, in tears or tears into that. And
have the women always got on well? Well, I know they've lived very separate lives, haven't they?
I think they have always gone on well, but who knows? There's press make all stories up, don't they, about fighting and cat fighting or whatever.
Mm.
It seems they've always got on. I think it was generally accepted that none of them were really getting on towards the end, but that's like throughout the whole thing. I mean, they're very different people, because Frida's obviously a performer and loves performing or dancing in her rather unique manner. And Agneta's much more didn't like touring and things like that. Everyone knows that, and not shy, I wouldn't say, performing, but less interested in that attention. So, well, I think it's a very them album. It doesn't, like they said, they're not trying to be anything modern,
No.
and I think maybe a bit of the electric keyboards sound maybe a little bit more modern than they were before, but everything else is pretty much the same. And some slightly corny lyrics and things, but that's it. You know that what you're getting. I mean, I think my only criticism of it really is that some of the songs are too short. I mean, a couple of them are well under 3 minutes, and there's other ones which could have been a bit longer.
Well, it's funny because I've been listening to Lil Nas X because I like to mix it up a little bit. Well, all his tracks are about 2 minutes 50.
Are they? Okay.
Well, no, not all. Mostly they are, and I think that has become a bit of the kind of the norm. I even find with my own songs that I'm trying not to have long intros because nobody listens to an introduction anymore. You have to get right into it, and not to outstay my welcome. So they are definitely shorter than they were to begin with.
Okay.
It's the thing. It's what the kids want. And Ian, before we get into individual tracks, so I had a conversation with one of my friends about. I said I was going to have a chat with you about ABBA, and she went, "Oh, it's such a shame they're doing this for the money." And I said, whoa. I said, I don't really think any of them ever need the money. I said, let's just get rid of that idea. This can't be for the money because that's ridiculous. So it has to be, this is about adding something to their legacy. But have people said that to you? Have people said to you, "Oh, it's a shame, that they," particularly, I started talking about, all these concerts that are going to happen. And I said, these concerts are going to go on for years and years and years. I said, in my normal.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's definitely not about the money. How can it be? They're the two. Well, I presume that the men get the songwriting credits. They don't share it 4 ways. No. But I mean. The two women they're multimillionaires themselves, and I think
many times over, I should imagine. I don't think so.
None of them need to worry, and they never strike me as money grabbing the way some people are. I mean, Mamma Mia's raking it in for Benny and Bjorn, isn't it? And they've got the show with the meal and everything that's raking it in still. They have added extra dates, though not the original dates never sold out. Maybe the first few, but the second batch didn't. So I'd be interested to know because it's quite expensive. I think it will really depend on what the reviews say, how good it is, whether people think it's worth splashing out, because it's still a bit of a, what is it going to be like?
Okay, so how many dates was the first batch of dates? Roughly. Was it like several months worth?
Was it from May to September? And maybe now they've gone in October, November. But they were putting extra dates on without all the others selling out first.
Okay.
And doing hype about, get early access by buying the album and stuff like that.
And they've built a venue specially for it, or they are building it.
Yeah, they are building it. So whether that's their personal investment or the music companies record companies' investment, I wouldn't know. So, yeah, and they'll make. I guess then they'll sell tons of programs and T-shirts.
I just thought, look, this has got the potential to be like, Evita and just be on in the West End for 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, it could do that, because
there's always
going to be running. Yeah,
exactly. Coming down.
Well, it's a lot more seats, isn't it? Is it 3,000 seats? I'm not sure, to be honest.
I don't know either.
So it's a lot more seats than the average theatre. Yeah.
And see if it's custom built for what they're doing. I mean, I'm sure it'll be state of the art. I mean, that's the whole view of it.
Yeah. Well, you're still watching a film in essence, really, unless
Aren't they
there's
going to
some
be
way.
real musicians with the avatars?
Yeah, real musicians. Yeah. So obviously the musicians can relate to the audience, but the avatars can't, can they? You know, so unless there's some things we're not aware of, it's going to happen. You know, they'll have to build in. Well, I mean, any stage show is all formatted, I suppose, anyway. So there isn't, that particularly. It doesn't go off the map, does it? Most of the time.
Do you think will there be banter with the audience then? Do you think in between the songs, one of the avatars will say, just going to tell you a story about when we were younger, and
you've got to buy a ticket and find out, I guess.
So interesting.
I mean, it could be all, but it could all be a bit odd, really.
But if it's scripted, if all their ad libs are scripted, it'll only be the same as going to see Barbra Streisand
or anybody. Most people, all their ad libs are scripted, aren't they?
Yeah.
So anyway, the album's done really, really well.
Can I just say, we went to see Barbra Streisand together, and you could see her cues up on the. Didn't she have the cues up on the screen?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not talk about Barbra Streisand. Sorry. Go on. ABBA, it's number one. The album's
all over. Yeah, so it's doing really well, I think.
Definitely.
Bizarrely not doing so well in Lithuania in the charts, I saw.
What were you doing looking at the Lithuanian chart, for goodness sake?
Tony, a friend Tony, sent me a list of where it was doing well. He's equally interested. And it seemed to be number one everywhere apart from Lithuania, where it was
and America.
20, I think.
The United States.
America, I think, now.
I just had a look. I couldn't see it anywhere in the Billboard chart, but maybe I was in last week's. ABBA Gold, about number 105.
I mean, I was amazed that it outsold Ed Sheeran, to be honest.
Thank God.
And, they do like these midweek charts, and it's like, it hasn't plummeted. It was holding on number 3 because there's 2 new entries above it.
Look, it's going to be number until the the behemoth that is Adele hits the charts, which is going to be this week. Doesn't really matter, does it? Anyway, listen. So tell me, what is your favorite track and what is your least favorite track?
Oh, okay. You know, the older you get, the harder it is to even remember the names of tracks.
Stop it.
If you believe. Anyway, I like Frida's voice best, but I do like their both voices. So Frida sings Bumblebee, which I really like. I know it's a sort of ecological song about bumblebees and how important they are rather. So I think that's really great. And then the last track, Ode to Frida, is the one which is epic, and I think could be a bit longer, and they could have built on that, really. So again, that's the one for me. Oh, it ends too quickly. The last 4 tracks are all the best ones, I think. I mean, there is the little Christmassy track with the children's choir on it. But they've had children's choirs before. They've had seasonal songs before. You know, that's probably my least favorite track.
Yeah, no, I thought you might say that. I think I sort of wish, I wish they wouldn't put those on. I wish they wouldn't do them. So, but they have done that before. You're right, and
so they had like Happy New Year came in the middle of it, or I think start of side 2, and that feels fine. You don't even think about it now.
No, okay, no. So I never liked it.
You don't play it, right?
No, that's true. That is true. So those are your favorite and your unfavorite, and you started by saying you feel like this could just as easily have been an album released in 1982 or something.
Yeah, it really does just sound like that. The whole sound of it, everything. I mean, one of the tracks, the vocals are from then anyway. They're like,
which one is that?
Yeah, Just an Ocean. So I'm forgetting the names now.
Okay, so
so that was like a offcut of Voulez-Vous, which they released as a 3rd single. I don't think it did anything. Actually, when I first heard it, I couldn't stand it, which has grown on me, because the melodies are still catchy and they get into your head. Obviously, if you listen to it loads, then the more it gets into your head more. But Yeah.
So you, as far as you're concerned, this is upholding the legend of ABBA, you know, perfectly well. And I mean, if you were their manager, would you have said, "Don't do this," or would you say, having listened to it, this is fabulous. Let's, you know, go ahead. It's lovely.
Oh, no, definitely. I think it's upholding their legacy. Don't worry about that. I don't know if there's anything that's like, you know, amongst their best singles or anything like that. Yeah, that's hard. That's really hard to judge because like so much it's come in between, and you know.
This is an interesting thing. So one of the things that they talked about, I heard them talking about in terms of their concerts, is this thing about age, which is, you know, the avatars are going to be how you remember ABBA being obviously in their youth. And that's quite weird, isn't it? It's like they want you to just remember ABBA in their 30s.
They do, but they don't shy away from how they are now, which I think is great. When many people do, they admit they're older, obviously in their 70s. And yeah, I mean,
they're not going to be performing as 70-year-olds. They're going to be performing as 30-year-olds. And
yeah,
that's
with the original vocals, I think. I don't know. I think that's the original vocals, yeah, because so I'm surprised they were able to do this 5 weeks of filming to do the Avatar thing. Really, it's just making it's. I think it seems to be mixing their own unique physical movements on top of a youthful body with their voices. Although these tracks, obviously, the slightly odd thing will be an older voice with a younger body, because two of the two singles are in the show, I think, but none of the others. So they all sound slightly different. Yeah.
Look, this generation is into being authentic, being our authentic selves. And so the whole performance thing, I think so. I'm talking about younger people.
On some levels.
Yeah, I'm talking about the youngsters. I think being authentic is huge. And so I think ABBA is quite an interesting sort of dilemma of you know, they're releasing something as an older group, they sound older, all of that's completely cool. And then they're doing these performances as younger people because they can, because the technology enables them to do this thing of being forever 30. And it's quite strange. But I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying it's going to be a bit odd because they can choose the era of the ABBA that plays the concert.
Yeah.
What's the attraction with Scandinavian pop music? What is it that Scandinavian pop music has that interests you? Because you like Scandinavia and Scandinavian pop music, and dare I say it, Scandinavian furniture, and you know, but I mean, you always have.
I do like all those things. I don't know if there's particularly a connection between Björk and ABBA.
But did you like a-ha?
I love a-ha.
What?
Who else is Scandinavian? I never liked what were they called? A man and a woman. I've forgotten their name now.
Oh, I know who you mean. Yes.
Roxette.
Roxette.
Yeah, I think they were.
Yeah.
Well, Björk's Nordic rather than Scandinavian, isn't she? And they're very, they're very different. Well, the furniture's usually fantastic. It's true. Everything about Scandinavia appeals to me: lifestyle, landscapes, the weather, wintry weather.
Anyway, Ian, thank you. It's lovely to spend my Monday evening with you, and
thanks.
I'm particularly impressed with your background there because it just looks incredibly professional. You've managed to raise the professional standard of my video cast.
Look, when I've been having a tidy out, and while I did, I found my ABBA mirror, which I bought when I went to see them.
Show me.
I
can't. Right, yes.
When you've got a funny background.
Yes, I can't see anything. So that I can see. It looks like, well, yes, okay. It just looks like four blokes or four people with hats on. But yes, I can see.
It's an iconic image of them, honestly.
Thank you. We are going to leave it there. As you can see, I'm wearing different clothes now. A few days has gone by since the beginning of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Obviously, go check out Voyage, and I'll see you in the next few days with another video cast, and the next one will be number 44. You take care. Have a nice weekend.